Alright, I thought I'd do a quick video here on, this is a mobile home unit. I'm doing a tune-up on this. These are downflow furnaces, so I just thought I'd show you one of these. So the blower is upside down, goes down. There's no return ducting. It all just comes through the door, so it's a central return in the hallway. So the blower blows down through the heat exchanger, or across the heat exchanger, and then down. You have the air conditioning evaporator coil. This is not a heat pump, so it's only the evaporator coil. Blows down across there, and then the ductwork is all underneath in the flooring, or under the floor, of course, because it's a mobile home. That's a fresh air intake. A lot of times there's a damper up in those, so you don't want to watch that. I don't know. Sometimes it'll be stuck open or stuck closed, but whatever. It's just a 4-inch. Our pressure switch. This is your pressure switch. There's not much to these ones. This is a fan. There's actually a fan inside of here. You can see you got 120 volts going to this that fan, and that's the exhaust. So it is induced draft. But we'll get into this. We're going to shut the gas off, disconnect the union, and then I'll take this whole thing out. Look at the burner igniter. This is a hot surface igniter. Take a look at all that, clean it up, and with that off, I can look into the heat exchanger also real well. Controls are in here. Not much to the controls. This is a PSC motor, permanent split capacitor, so we'll check the capacitor, we'll check the fan blades, see how things are doing. Filters aren't real dirty though. But not a lot to these. They're pretty simple. So I'll get some of this opened up and then show you some more. Alright, I got a couple things opened up here. One of the things I'm going to do is I just disconnect the wires here. So I disconnected the hot surface igniter and the flame sensor and the gas valve. Gas valve is labeled M1 and C2. If you're worried about it, just mark them. I marked 1 red, 2 red. It is just a 24 volt system, so technically it shouldn't matter which way those go. And same with these. You can mark them if you're worried about it, but if the manufacturer doesn't mark hot and common or hot and neutral, then it really doesn't make a difference. Here's the controls, on and off switch right here, control board, pretty basic. White heat, green fan, C common, R red is your 24 volt constant, and yellow, the Y is for air conditioning. So just a basic system. And then we're going to check our capacitor, 7.5 microfarad. We've gone over that on a couple of things, but it might say MFD, it might say MD, or it might look like a U shape, but it's microfarad. That's the most important. Most of these are 370. This is both 370 to 440. You can put a bigger capacitor in as far as more voltage, but you can never go smaller. You could never have less than 370 in this. You could go higher but not lower. But the microfarads need to be the same. And this needs to be within 10% of its range for that fan to operate properly. Got my meter set on microfarads. capacitance here. So we're going to check. It always takes a second on these UEIs. Got to give it a second, watch it change now. So 7.1, we're at 7.5. The tolerance of it's 10%, it's 0.75, so that brings it down to 6.75 or up to 8.25. So it can be anywhere in that range. So we're well within that range, so that means this capacitor is good. Of course, I think I just replaced this last year. So these wires, it doesn't matter which one goes where. This is basically in the same circuit, so it's just flowing through here. It's not positive, negative, or anything like that. Directional, I should say. It's not directional. Okay, I like to check the bearings. So I'm going to reach in this side, I'm going to give it a spin. It's just been real free. That's real loose. The other thing too is I'm going to check that shaft, make sure there's no up and down or back and forth play. You might get in and out, but you should never get up and down or back and forth. So that you know that those bearings aren't wearing out. But it still feels pretty tight. Check the dust on the motor. Check for oil coming off the bottom of the motor. All right. Okay, I got the union broke. I took the screws off. This just comes out, and this is just the orifice. That's a natural gas orifice. They have an orifice over here for if you had propane. Again, you'd have to change springs inside here if you're doing propane also. But I want to show you, once you get these out, be careful, because that hot surface igniter, you don't want to break it pulling these out, because it's down inside right at the bottom. If you're not careful, you will hit that when you're taking it out and break your hot surface igniter. So just be real careful about that. Alright, so here's our burner. Burner looks clean. We're going to clean up the flame sensor. That's that turbulence plate. So that the flame hits that and doesn't just go straight to the back of the heat exchanger, but it'll go up more and kind of hit all around in there. I'm gonna send my camera. I'll send my camera through there and look all around the heat exchanger too, and see how it looks all the way around. There's going to be rust, but you want to look for cracks. And notice that's a double plate. So there's a heat shield inside of the main heat exchanger. So, if you got a crack in that, that's not a crack in the heat exchanger. That's just an extra heat shield. As you can see, there's 2 layers inside here. So just be aware of that. Yeah, not too difficult to take apart. Okay, about to start this up, and we're going to check the temporize. So where do you check temporize on something like this? Central return, really easy. I'm just going to check right by the return. And I will put the doors on in a second, but we're just going to check right there. You might have to hold it because it's all plastic. Got the nice field piece magnetic ones, but we're just going to check right by the return, and then not really a good spot. I don't want to poke a hole in there and risk hitting the evaporator coil. If you know where everything is in there, you might risk it, but it's just easy enough that go to the closest one to the furnace, the closest supply. This one, there's one right behind here. So I just have my sensor right down in the supply, and we're going to take our temperature difference between those 2 points. And on here, ooh, these are hard to read. Let's see here. Okay. All right, so temporize right here. 45 to 75 degrees. That's our air temporize. So that's what we're going to be looking for. Start this up. We have our exhaust fan turned on. Hopefully the pressure switch is made. I got a green light so far. Let's see if we get hot surface igniter. Should come on inside here. Alright, just heard the relay click in, so should start to see orange in there. There we go. Yeah, that's nice. There it is. And flame. Video looks a lot of yellow. It looks more yellow than it actually is, but you got a blue flame right off the front, and then yeah, you're gonna see yellow white around it, but it's still got a good blue even after it hits that front plate. And so that's just going in, heating up all that metal inside. And then the fan will kick in a minute here. I'm checking total amp draw and incoming power line. Let's see when this fan turns on. We'll let this run for a little bit, about 10 minutes, and see what our temperature difference is. Not too bad. The system's not looking too bad. So we'll put these doors back on and just watch the temperature.